weeks
Absolutely.
before
Absolutely.
the event it's
I went to a
attached to,
play
which is the election for political signs.
no,
But
no,
it's,
no, no. It's Stratford on
no, they can put
Avon,
whatever they want. They can still
Connecticut.
put an abortion
I know,
sign. They
it's
can
in
put
New
whatever,
Jersey
but
as a
they
kid.
can only put signs on our property in this area 2 weeks before an election. It can be
Good evening, everyone. We're going to call the meeting to
that might
order
be
at this
something
time.
we could look at.
So good evening to everyone out there. Welcome to the Village Council meeting. It's Thursday,
The
September
broadcast
2nd.
is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, that was just a rehearsal. Good morning. Good morning. Good evening, everyone out there. It's Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. It's 6:30. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Village Council meeting this evening. I'm going to ask you in a moment to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, but I will ask you to please remain standing for a moment of silence. Unfortunately, yet another week comes by, another month comes by, and we have a tragic event where we've lost 13 of our men and women in the military in Operation Exiting Afghanistan. So we'll stand for a moment of silence at the conclusion of the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Okay. We've been meeting under this scenario, this model for so long. I think it's at least a year and a half now. So I don't need to keep reminding everyone how to do it. I think everyone out there knows how to get on, how to log in, and how to participate remotely, and what the ground rules are regarding that. So with that, I ask Diane to please let the record show all members of council are present. And we'll start with reports. I guess we'll start with you, Celine.
Good evening, everyone. Couple things that we had. So first of all, thank you very much to all the staff. We've had several events in the village, starting with Shakespeare Under the Palms. So they did a great job out in Commons Park. We had a 5K on Saturday at the same time during the play, and it was a beautiful night. They did a great job with that. And then also we had the League of Cities had their monthly luncheon here too. So a lot going on last week, and the staff did an amazing job. Congratulations to our Royal Palm Beach under-8 girls softball team. They made the All-Star team. They finished second in the World Series in Jensen Beach. So congratulations to them. And in order to get there, they beat teams from Florida, Virginia, and Louisiana. So congratulations, ladies. Pick up a fall copy of the Community Connection. So all that stuff of everything going on is out on newsstands within the village today. And then we also have Friday night at Commons Park. We're starting up again tomorrow night with food truck and concert. And the band tomorrow night is N2, which is a Motown band. So we're going to see you there?
Maybe.
All right.
What time is this for?
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock.
Yep. So they'll be out there.
Meeting.
It's N2 is the band. We're also gearing up for the fall. So football, soccer, baseball, softball, and travel basketball are all ready to start their season within the next week or two. And we're starting to take registration for all of our indoor basketball leagues. Also, remember, coming up in October is our Rockin' Fest October, where we're going to do our 2-day event as well as the haunted house over at Commons Park through October. And that completes my report.
Okay. Richard.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Jeff.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Education Foundation actually was honored this past Friday at the football season kickoff that took place, and actually that was a highlight. The football game wasn't quite so much the outcome we had hoped. They played Martin County, and they obviously are building for the next season. So anyway, the Education Foundation night though was great. They brought the education board out on the field along with the district superintendent, Marsha Andrews, the board member, and other folks to recognize the work that the foundation does, which is really outstanding, especially for Title I schools. The foundation actually has something called the Red Apple Supply Store that provides supplies to kids. In fact, they provided 2,500 of these school supply packages to Royal Palm Beach High School students this year. And And of course, they do the fundraising and everything necessary to be able to buy these supplies, which means that instead of having to reach into the teacher's pockets, the teacher can rely upon the Apple Store to help them out. So the foundation itself really does a great job. They also provide grants. This year they provided one $1,000 grant for one of the teachers at Royal Palm Beach High School for her classroom. They've done this many other times. They are also acting as ambassadors, facilitators for partnerships between businesses and our schools. In fact, one of the examples that I was told about was the HVAC Academy actually received a $30,000 grant from Carrier Air Conditioning, and that was through the assistance or with the assistance of the Education Foundation Board. They're also working right now with FP&L and their Home Services Division to do some additional partnering with HVAC. The Education Foundation, of course, honors Palm Beach County principals by recognizing a Principal of the Year. And we all know that our principal, Dr. Jesus Armas, received that last year. So Education Foundation does a lot of really, really good work. And as some of the teachers over there said, one of the things they like best is it's tangible work. It's things that they can actually do things with to help them educate the kids better. Want to mention just, Florida, Feeding South Florida continues on Wednesdays. The lines have not gotten shorter. If anything, they've gotten longer. And this past Wednesday, we probably were over 700 vehicles going through the line. This is our 72nd consecutive week of doing the food distribution, thanks to the great work by the Parks and Rec staff, Lou, Mike, Brandon, and all the folks over there who just step up and step in and make it happen regardless. We've changed the configuration a couple of times. It takes a good degree of agility to actually be able to make it work as well as it does. But the main thing is got a bunch of people who are really pitching in. One of the really cool things is we're getting new volunteers every week.
Yeah, that is good.
And not yesterday, but the week before, we had 8 employees from CarMax, and the manager show up. They have a program that encourages community service. And so they showed up, and they promised to be back at least once a month, if not more often. So that's great. So I called Aldi and said, hey, you know what happened? So we'll see if we can get some of the others.
I don't know if Aldi will react to that, but
Well, no, they didn't say no, but they haven't called back. So we'll see what happens. In any case, CarMax is there, and they did a great job. It's really important because it brings the energy level up. We're excited about it. We're excited. We got another source of volunteers. The people in line. So when I had 3 people, how do I volunteer?
that is.
Certainly we've had people say, it's interesting because I've seen this, and it's Parks and Rec crew. I won't talk about 12. I thought you might like to do that. Okay?
Oh, like the critics report?
Yeah, so I'll tell you what first of all, I got to thank Jill because she said before I did that, and Wikipedia, and the playbill gave, who the players were, and great quality. I mean, Shakespeare. It was fantastic. And something that,
Yes.
with that said, I'll turn it over to.
I agree. I will just ditto that. The partnership, which is brand new, delivered 8 nights of a performance that we've never had in the parks before, and how exciting for our residents in the surrounding areas to be able to come and enjoy an evening. Perfect for them. And Trucks, who was the Butch Truck's son. So we had the play. So I want to appreciate everybody who came out. I want to appreciate Palm Beach Shakespeare Festival for really doing a great job on such a shoestring budget, and thanks Park and Recs for all their help throughout the whole 2 weekends. And so yeah, I know they're meeting to work out details for next year, and as soon as we have dates, we'll start to promote.
great thing. It really is.
I've asked Jan if she could put something together to go into the Royal Palm Beach Magazine, maybe some pictures and a story to get the message out early now. And hopefully in that article we can say they'll be back next year and here are the dates. So this is the more we can get the word out, the sooner I think that will get more people to turn out. So thank you, Jan.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Okay. Right.
The only report I have is our budget hearings are September 8th and September 23rd at 6:30 here in this meeting room. So we will be meeting, and they're not, let's see, the 23rd is a Thursday, the 8th is a next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Yes, so a little bit different.
Okay.
Fourth Thursday and then Wednesday. So September 8th and September 23rd are budget first and second hearing. But we're on the budget.
Both 6:30, is that right?
They are both at 6:30. Yes. That's all I have.
Okay.
Nothing tonight, Mayor, unless you have any questions.
No. All right. That concludes our reports. I don't see anyone here that presented a petition. Has any petitions been? No petitions.
No
Right?
petitions.
So we're closing the floor to petitions. Statements from the public on non-agenda items or consent agenda items. Do we have any advanced statements from the public on non-agenda items?
Yes, Mayor, I did receive one, and it has been circulated to the council.
Okay, so it will be going on file. Okay, thank you. Seeing none, do we have anyone out there raise their hands on non-agenda items or consent agenda items?
We have no hands raised.
Okay, we have literally no one here, so I have no comment cards. Go ahead.
If you don't mind, and I think the village manager can answer it. I did have a couple residents contact me regarding the new entranceway on Southern and Royal Palm Beach Boulevard. I know it's still in the process. Do you have an estimated timeline when that's finished? And
I do not have an estimated timeline. We do have the project on our website, and it gives you a map, and you can click on any of our projects, and it'll give you that information. But I do know that off the top of my head when that's going to be finished.
then they're going to still paint it, though. That's just like the preliminary.
That is correct.
Gotcha,
It will be
thanks.
painted the reddish color that we have at Commons Park.
Are we talking about the new mine?
Yeah.
The entrance feature at Royal Palm and Southern Boulevard.
But it's already painted. You're talking about
Talking about the arches.
You're about the arches.
They're going to be painted.
They're going to be painted red.
Yes.
Okay. Because I was trying to figure out what they were doing on the bottom. I said, did they forget
it's
it?
gonna be
But
brick.
but it's nice. What they're doing is nice.
There's the stone.
The stone
they're
work,
putting
yeah.
around the bottom. It's gonna be the
But at
same-
first I was
same
going, every
stone
time I
we
drove
put
by
around
there, I says, hope they didn't forget about the
Commons
bottom.
Hall.
It's going to be nice, yeah.
But did we agree on the red? Did we agreed
Yes.
on the red?
Yes.
We did. I remember. We did. Yes, we
Just
did.
thought I'd try one more time.
I remember. Okay. Okay. Good. All right. Closing the floor to comments from the public on the non-agenda items and consent agenda items. And with that, Diane, can you give us the consent agenda?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Number one, approval of special event permit application for
I remember that,
Catskill
'cause
Taunts,
I wasn't
Florida,
too keen, but
LLC to hold a haunted
it
house
is what it is.
on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights through the month of October 2021 at Royal Palm Beach Commons. Two, approval of a special event permit for Our Lady Queen of the Apostles Catholic Church to hold a Christmas
Here we
village
go.
and festival at 100
Christmas.
Crestwood
I knew,
Boulevard,
look at that.
December 3rd through December 5th, 2021, and December
Year's done.
10th
We're done.
through December 12th, 2021. Three, adoption of resolution number 2116, a resolution of the Village Council of the Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, adopting a revised schedule of fees and charges, specifically repealing resolution 2112, providing that this schedule of fees and charges shall be available for inspection at all times at the Village Hall during regular business hours, providing an effective date and for other purposes. And four, approval of bid award and authorization for the village manager to enter into a contract with Aquatic Vegetation Control Incorporated, the sole responsible bidder for aquatic vegetation maintenance services for the village's canal system and the M1 canal in an amount not to exceed $243,300.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions on items on the consent agenda?
I'd like to pull item number 4, please.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, can I look for a motion for approval of the remaining items on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Diane, please let the record show that items 1, 2, and 3 on the consent agenda were approved 5-0. Selena?
And I think the village manager can take this, so I don't want to scare Paul, but it was just going through because this was something that the residents came to us about, and because we're renewing the contract or the bid back out there, just to remind everybody what it is for, and that the extra fee, we pay an extra $1 towards our stormwater fee, and then what this is going to end up doing.
Yeah, so if you remember when we've had problems with our aquatic vegetation contractor for many years, and a few years ago we separated the kind of the raking of the canals and the contract that would get floating debris off and all that. We separated that from the chemical application. We knew that would cost us more money. We raised our stormwater utility rates $1, and since we've separated that, we've had much more success with our aquatic vegetation control. So it's working.
Thank you. That was it. I make a motion to approve consent agenda item number 4.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? If no opposed, Diane, please let the record show the consent agenda item number 4 was approved 5-0. All right, moving to our regular agenda. Agenda item R1 is a public hearing for the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1016, amending the village charter to adjust the dates for qualifying for municipal election office at the request of the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections.
Thank you, Mayor. For the record, if I can read the full title into the record, and then I'll turn it back over to the council. This is Ordinance 1016, Ordinance of the Village Council, Village of Royal Palm Beach, Florida, amending the charter at Article 3, Government, Section 3, Annual Municipal Elections, to adjust the dates for qualifying for municipal elected office at the request of the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections. Directing the village clerk to transmit a certified copy of this ordinance to the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections, providing that each and every other section and subsection of the charter of the Village of Royal Palm Beach shall remain in full force and effect as previously adopted, providing a conflicts clause, severability clause, authority to codify an effective date, and for other purposes. This is second reading.
Okay. Diane, do we have any advanced comments from the public on this agenda item R1? Ray, do we have anyone with their hands raised out there who would like to comment from the public?
I do have a hand raised.
Okay.
Hang on here. Yeah, I hope I know how to do it here. Jamie, you are
I think we'll lose
unmuted,
it.
so you have the microphone. For some reason, I unmuted them, but it's saying that their audio is off.
They're just audio, there's no visual, no video?
No, I don't get video from.
Hmm.
Let me see if it's something like the control room. Usually, either saying self-muted or.
We're going to take a pause here where we try to adjust this issue. Be right back.
I know, but I don't know. I unmuted them. They're unmuted. It's saying audio is off. I don't know. This is for the remote caller. Yeah. Oh, they put their hand down and their attendee is self-muted.
Hi, I'm
There
the captain.
there you go, Jane.
I didn't realize my hand was raised, so
Ma'am, please state your name for the record.
my name is Jamie Pellegrino. I'm the captioner for the event.
She said she accidentally.
Oh,
raised
so
her
that was an inadvertent hand raise?
Yes.
Okay,
That's what she said.
thank you very much.
Good to hear your voice.
Sorry, man. Next time.
I should know people are out there.
Well, yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Absolutely.
Ray got all excited about it.
I know. Okay, seeing that we have no comments from the remote public. We have no comment card submitted here. No one's here to submit a comment card, so I'm going to close public comment on agenda item R1. And if there are any questions or comments from members of the council, as I said, this is the second reading.
I make a motion to approve regular agenda item number 1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are none opposed. Diane, please let the record show that agenda item R1 was approved on second reading 5-0. Agenda item R2 is a public hearing for a second reading and adoption of ordinance number 1017, amending Chapter 8, Elections of the Village Code of Ordinance at Section 8-2. Qualification of candidates for elective office, continuing qualifications for elected office, to adjust the dates for qualifying for a municipal election office at the request of the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections, and at Section 8-3, Canvass and Certification of Elections, in order to confirm the village clerk's authority to delegate duties to the Palm Beach County Supervisor of Elections as necessary, without further authorization from the village council, and to delegate all canvassing and certification responsibilities to the county canvassing board.
Thank you, Mayor. Your introduction covered the title, so I don't have to reread that. But this is a companion ordinance to Ordinance 1016, and this, rather than being in the charter, this is in the village code. It does the same thing. It adjusts the qualifying date, but it also addresses the issue of the canvassing board, and this would delegate those responsibilities to the county canvassing board, which is the supervisor of elections, circuit court judge, and the mayor of the county commission or their designee.
Okay. All right, Diane, do we have any prior submittals of public comment on this agenda item R2?
No comments, Mayor.
Ray, do we have any hands raised out there?
No.
Okay. I have no public
not
cards, comment cards submitted. There's no one here to submit any, so I'm going to close public comment on agenda item R2. Open the floor for any comments from members on council. If not, I'll look for a motion.
Motion to approve regular agenda item number 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no opposed. Diane, please let the record show that agenda item R2 was approved for its second reading 5-0. Thank you. Agenda item R3 is a public hearing for the first reading and approval of ordinance number 1014, amending Chapter 20, Signs, at Sections 20-1, Definitions, to amend and create definitions for select terms related to sign identification and regulation. Okay, I'm done. Okay, where was I?
We'll extend your time.
Oh, sign identification and regulations, and that's sections 20-2, 20-22, 20-25, 20-27, 20-41, and 20-54, 20-57, and 20-65, and 20-71, and 20-73. I shouldn't have kept saying and. I thought I would get to the end. I think we covered them all, right? To conform village code to recent legal precedent regarding signs and to provide internal consistency. Apparently, I don't know if you all recall, I guess, I don't know how long ago it was when they changed the laws, but we wanted to we let it go through the courts and see what the final outcome was going to be. And I guess we're there, and now we have to adopt our ordinances to map the law.
Yeah, and again, for the record, Mayor, your introduction covers the title of this ordinance, and the village has an extremely comprehensive, complex and detailed sign ordinance. This document that's before the council tonight touches on one narrow piece of that. There's a couple of cleanup things where we had to make some sections had moved and we had to change some internal references, but the thrust of this deals with temporary signs with a non-commercial message on them. We deal with commercial speech in our ordinance already, and that would be your signs like for sale, for rent, garage sales, open house. Those are adequately dealt with, and we haven't made changes to that. This deals with non-commercial speech. The most common and recognized form of commercial speech with temporary signs, of course, are political campaign signs.
Sure.
And we have code that specifically is titled political campaign signs. And so the Supreme Court case that you referred to dealt with that exact issue, and the essence of it is that you cannot regulate temporary signs based on content. So by saying that it's a political campaign sign, right just by doing that, you're addressing it based on content. So
Right.
we changed the code to deal with temporary signs with non-commercial speech, and we've broken that into two separate categories. And this is based on the Supreme Court case that's referenced in the materials and in the ordinance, and that is broken into temporary speech signs that are associated with a specific event, and temporary speech signs that are not associated with a specific event. So, again, the most obvious example of a sign that's attached to an event would be your political campaign signs, because they're associated with an election date. We haven't changed the requirements for those signs. They still have a time frame when they can go up, when they have to come down, where they can be located, how big they can be, what they can be made out of, what condition they have to be kept in. That none of that has changed. What really has changed now is that instead of being limited to political campaign signs, it's any temporary sign with a non-commercial message that's tied to an event. So it could be a sign
Shakespeare at the Park.
asking people to come to a Christmas festival or a
Yeah.
haunted house or a specific sporting event. The other piece of it is the signs that are not attached to a particular event. So that might be something like somebody just generally cheering for a particular sports team.
Go Seminoles.
Go Tribe for William and Mary, or I love Royal Palm Beach.
Browns.
Yeah, I see a lot of those.
Well,
Okay.
So the way we've handled that in this ordinance is we say private property you're allowed for each signs to,
Okay.
I think they for those kind of signs, and it does not place a time limit. Those signs could be up all year long. However, they have to be in the correct place. They have to be the correct size, and they have to be maintained in the correct condition. They can't, fall into disrepair and that sort of thing. So that, in a nutshell, is what's before the
Okay.
council tonight. This does, in our opinion, bring
Bring us
the
into
village's sign
compliance.
code into conformance with
Yeah.
the current state of the law on this matter. And I turn it back over to
Okay.
you for further discussion.
Thank you very much. Diane, do we have any prior public comments on agenda item R3?
No, Mayor, no comments received.
Ray, do you have any hands raised for agenda item R3?
No, there are not.
You sure? Okay, seeing none, okay. I have no public comment card submitted. There's no one here to submit one. So with that said, I'm going to close public comment on agenda item R3 and open up for questions or comments from members of council. If you have no questions, then I'll look for a motion.
Well, actually, no. I think, and my concern is that because we can't regulate content, is what somebody may find offensive that a resident now has placed in their yard.
I'm going to sit down with Keith and Ray and Rob to talk about what kind of a procedural policy we should have to address that very question. So it'd be specific. And what I don't want us to do is put our code enforcement people in a situation where they've got to make some kind of decision. I want them to say, okay, here are the ground rules that we're going to follow, procedures. And once that's put together, they'll be shared, obviously, with the council members. Just so that we have, here's the policy, and I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know if there's a list of words on there that,
I suspect it won't go as far as many of you would like it to go.
Well, at least it'll be better. It'll be better than having nothing procedurally documented, so our code enforcement people have nothing to follow.
Especially images or terms or things like that.
We'll talk about all that. Keith will lead us through that little process. You have a question?
I just want, there is, obscenity is covered in this ordinance, right? So that's pretty much something that the government can say, all right, you can't do that.
And obscenity
is an amorphous thing.
Well, what's
that-
obscenity to you?
I
Might
know
not be
it when
offending to her.
I know it
You
when
know
I
that.
see it. I
Yeah,
mean,
you know when you
that's-
see it, right? Yeah.
That's their
That's the
definition.
definition that
Yeah.
you know it when you
But
see
isn't that the definition for pornography?
Yeah, same thing.
Essentially, it is sexual charged with no artistic,
Brilliant.
educational,
Right.
political, or scientific value. So, that clearly is the exception we're allowed. Profanity in and of itself is not necessarily obscenity. A message that is offensive to someone is probably, you can't say just because it's offensive to someone you're not allowed to have it because you're offending your neighbor. That is all squarely First Amendment, and very difficult to deal with. But I agree, you don't want your code enforcement officers having to make judgment calls, and we can explain all this to them and make sure they understand that there are some rules, but again, I think it's going to be very limited, and it's not going to go as far as any of you would like on that front.
Jeff, I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a couple other things. When I met with the village manager, did he convey to you the language? I mean, it's kind of like a typo, but it's an omission on page 7 when
Yes,
we're
I have that. In fact,
that's
I found that. That's
okay.
actually current code, so we will fix that for a second.
Okay, so we
did
copied it
find
wrong
that,
for
yeah.
before.
Yep.
And then I thought you guys did a really good job drafting this, but the one part of it that gives me pause is because one of the reasons this whole thing is done is because we don't want to have sign pollution. One of the things
Sign
we have in
pollution?
there,
Over the place?
right? A while ago, one particular type of sign before election, it's content based. Have in here is I thought a pretty good job of that was what we wanted to do back then. For example, and
It is. No.
if we maintain what's in here about village-owned property, there's going to be a sign at Okeechobee in this area saying "Go Seminoles, beat whoever" every single week. There's going to be birthday party signs. There's going to basically we can do nothing
So we will
about
have,
stopping.
We'll have
We
pollution.
will have the sign
We will have
proliferation and
Okay.
pollution that the whole ordinance is designed to undermine. So my thought is, and it's on page 20, to just take out the village-owned property part.
Now we're talking about the village hall where we allow the signs 2 weeks before the election, and we did that because you didn't have permission from the commercial property owners on the quarters.
That's why we did it.
You didn't get
Right.
any. So that's why we did that.
Right.
We can define the event being the election and say 2 weeks before election. You just can't regulate what the sign is, though.
No, we cannot.
I would need to look at. So if I understand what you're saying, you would open. The thought would be to open that area of village property for any sign during that period of time.
No, that's what this reads. This reads you're getting 14 days before any event.
Before
you
any
can put
event.
any sign up. And that's definitely what I don't think we want. And if we do say, oh, we can put it up a certain days before the election, that's content-based. That's political speech.
It could be any sign. It doesn't have to be a political sign. It's not content-based. The sign, it's only a period of time. What you're doing is you're picking this 2 weeks out of the year. Signs can be on Village Hall in this location. We define the location on Village Hall property, and that's it. And that period, but we knew that even before that. Anybody can put whatever sign they want in that area 2 weeks before the election. It didn't have to be just election signs.
I would want to.
I don't think that's going to that's going to.
All right. Let Keith look into that and just get some clarification around
I
that
can
issue.
certainly have an answer well in
Yeah.
advance of second reading.
Okay.
That's fine.
That's fine.
But I just thought that undermined the entire purpose. And if we
No, I see what you're saying.
we
All right.
tie it to an election, again, that's tied to a specific event, not all specific events. And I mean, that's the problem here. It's over-inclusive. We can't pick and choose. We can't say, okay, we're going to allow X events to, get whatever, and then, but that's going to be specifically on the topic, on the content of the signs.
Have other cities gone down this path already? Do we have any
My
indications?
experience,
of how-
it's more typical to see language that simply says temporary signs are not permitted on the town, village, or city's property and not permitted in the public rights of way, period. That's the most common way I've seen this handled.
You said I had, yep, that was
Okay, good, thank you.
Wholesale, nothing on government property or on public rights of way. And then, but as you know, during election
We'll put a
season,
sign up.
they all go up on public rights of way anyway. But that's the typical way that local codes handle that, in my experience.
Okay.
Jeff was next.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So what Rich brought up was what my concern was. We're going to wind up with an unintended result here. We're going to open it up for all kinds of signs out there. We had 5 areas, as I recall, that were available to actually post that were village-owned areas, and we know what the intent was. It was the anti-pollution, sign pollution thing, if you want to use that phrase, and so yeah, I mean, I'm okay with going the other way, just removing that so that there isn't such availability for sign posting on public property, on the village property. Is best to go, but otherwise we're going to wind up with an unintended result here.
Sorry.
Let's go.
I'll go. I just have a question. Are we limited to our locations? I mean, are those set in stone?
What, the village locations?
Yeah.
The 5 locations we're talking about.
Yeah,
If it's
that's our
village
call.
property, that's
Anything
Our
belongs to
property,
us.
yeah.
Just thinking, if it gets really bad, we put them behind the dumpster.
Okay.
Well, I think just
Excellent.
for clarification, you're saying is then no signs at all, theoretically, on those 5 properties that we've right now designated as ability to put political signs. Is that what you were saying? Is no, when you just said what other villages
yes.
are?
They would say
Okay.
none.
So then that,
Still none.
then the whole reason why we ended up doing that in the first place is negated, because if somebody can't put them in, if they're all this business property in the village and I'm not allowed to put my sign in any of those places, at least I knew I had the 5 village places. So that's what concerns me about taking that or adding that language in there.
That's correct. If the private property owner does not allow the candidate to put their sign on the private property, then and this option was eliminated, then that
wouldn't
is
have
correct.
any.
There's no
So
other
I don't
option.
think we should do that.
But then, on the way, what you just read there, that's going to be any event, any time,
Right.
any sign, anything we want. What you were saying before about things that are just, people don't like, people don't want, they're going to be front and center on village property, saying the village of Royal Palm Beach has X, Y, or Z, because they could put any of that stuff up as long as it's tied to an event.
Correct.
We're going to look and see if we can do it for the 2 weeks before an
That's what I
election,
was going to say.
but not
if we put
content-based.
Yeah, exactly. If you just put a time band around when you can put signs up on the village property, that's it. And leave it at that. Yeah.
That's what he's going to check.
So at
Right.
worst case, we'll have sign pollution for those 2 weeks.
I mean, it may turn out that that's a backdoor way of regulating content because nobody's going to put a.
No, it's
a very-
not. Let's not
I don't
volunteer
know. I'm just
that kind of rationale. It's not a backdoor way. It's very straightforward. We have the same right that private property owners have. Private property owner says for you to put a sign up. No, let me. Yes, we do.
Okay.
A private property owner can say you can't put your sign up on my property, and you can.
Right. And
Is that true?
if we open a forum, we as the government, like if I open a forum and say, anyone can put whatever signs they want on my property,
That's not
and
what
it's
we're
someone
saying,
who points a property or a sign I don't like, I could say no, and it's fine because they have no First Amendment right against
That's
me.
not
But
what
if
we're saying.
you're saying that we have the same right as private
What I'm
property
saying-
owners, we don't.
Go listen.
Am I
listen-
wrong in that?
No,
Am
listen,
I
listen,
wrong in that?
listen for a minute. Selena just got finished pointing this out. We could say there was once upon a time we didn't allow any signs on public property that belonged to the village. Right. We decided to open that up because we had races and situations that were going on where people were being frozen out from the private property owners, and we didn't think that was fair. So we said, fine, we're going to create locations on the village property where you can put those signs up. That's how that came about. That wasn't always there.
And we were able to distinguish between political signs
But
and
we're not-
whatever other speech.
But what we're
at that
saying now
point,
is
but
we-
we can't now.
Nobody is saying that. That's not what we're going to do. What we're saying is we're going to put a window of time in. Whatever the signs are, the signs are. That's what we're saying. Nobody's regulating
Before
content.
tied to elections.
They didn't say it was tied to elections.
No,
We
He's
said,
just saying the time frame.
no,
He's
we
just saying
said
the time
to
frame.
a time frame.
Right, a
So-
time frame around the election.
Well,
It just happens to be around the election.
No,
Jeez.
it's
Come
it
on.
just happens
So
to be.
there is a difference that the village's property to a certain extent is property that's available for the public to come on. It's not private property in the same sense that your home is private property. We create forums for public discourse, like this area. So this, I'm not exactly the
Right. But I think, because there's different sign. I'm in the same page. Right. So when the sign's the same.
So let's during and the intent really is the village owned property. So
Okay.
so we're okay with that.
Following the
Would
law,
be
that's where
do not
already conditioned us that it
right.
says
So
this is some
supposed to what we usually
that's all this
the village owned election signs and that's
that is
Just to clarify, is that you're going to look at signs on village-owned property for a specific 2-week period of time once a year.
that's essentially the question that I'm going to research.
And are we limiting? Not to be clear, are we limiting it to once a year, or are we
No.
limiting it to, okay, because there's special elections, so special elections, no, or, I mean, we have to be definitive, and I would think the most reasonable thing, if this is the way we want to do, we're going to do it around what our regular election would be, what our primary elections would be in the summer, and what our general elections would be in the fall. And that could run afoul, but you know what, you can't cover every contingency, because there's runoffs.
Our current code is 2 weeks before an election.
Right, but it's tied to the election,
And
and we can't tie it to the election.
can't regulate the content.
Right.
You can see what you can do on the timing.
So a question about there's two variables here that I'm wondering, can we have play in there too? We talked about 5 sites, maybe we limit it to 3. And time-wise, can you reduce it to, instead of 14 days, 7 days?
Time, place, and manner regulations are what are clearly permissible. So the number of days that's in the ordinance is not magical. You can change the number of days that it can go up before an event or has to come down after an event. You can change how big the sign can be. You can change the material it's made out of. You can change the location that it's placed.
what we're concerned about though, and so if there's a way to craft something.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to just approve it on the first reading with the village attorney to look into it, and with the one little omission that on page 7 that the
Yeah,
attorney's aware of. We were missing a word. We said that we it had to be, because it said we want people's vision to be blocked and all that stuff, and we do not want people's vision to be blocked.
So it's a correction?
Was the language?
It's a
It's
typo.
it's a typo,
is,
simple
yeah.
correction, and we'll with instructions to get back about what we discussed, and take a shot at a second reading.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed. Please let the record show that agenda item R3 was approved 5-0 on the first reading, and we look forward to the second reading. Okay.
Just trying to do the right thing.
No. That's our job. Try to do the right thing. Okay. Agenda item R4 is an appointment of one member to the Recreation Advisory Board for a term ending March 2022, and that would be.
I'll take it. Thank you very much. Once again, we had one of our longtime Recreation Advisory Board members, Shanoy, resign. So, yeah, he moved out of the area, but great family. He and his wife, Charlene, their son, Joe, was a camp counselor with us as well. So, great family. So, we're going to miss him. With that, though, we do have our alternate that I'll make a motion to move her up. And then we did have another resident apply for that open position. So with that, I would like to make a motion to appoint our alternate Leslie Salas Leffler to the regular seat for the 2-year term expiring March 2022, and appoint Jordan Schiller as alternate to fill the term expiring in March 2023.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have no opposed. Diane, please let the record show that the motion was approved 5-0 for agenda item R4. Do we have anything else we need to cover tonight? If not, thank you all for coming here on September 2nd. We're
We'll see
adjourned.
you next week.